Hello, my dear friends. Let me guide you to a magical place, far away from all hardships and struggles. Close your eyes and open your imagination. Chapter 2: The Leaky Cauldron. It was Friday, very early in the morning, 6 a.m. to be precise. You lay in bed, the anticipation buzzing in your veins like electricity. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow through your window. But you had been awake for hours, staring at the ceiling and replaying the events of the past few days in your mind. Aunt Clara was set to arrive at 8 a.m. The hours felt like an eternity. You glanced at the clock, willing it to move faster. Thoughts of diagonally filled your imagination, each picture more vivid than the last. Bustling shops lined with colorful signs, wizards and witches milling about, and all sorts of magical items waiting to be discovered. You swung your legs over the side of the bed and hopped up, pacing your room. What would it be like to choose your wand? Or to see all those different magical items? The idea of a hidden world, right under the ordinary one you knew, made your heart race with excitement. The letter from Hogwarts was now tucked safely in your pocket, a tangible reminder that your life was about to change forever. You had spent hours reading through a history of Hogwarts the last few days, but now you would be living it. You couldn't help but think about what classes would be like. Would you be good at potion making? Which spells would you learn first? You peeked out the window, letting your gaze wander to the trees, swaying gently in the morning breeze, their leaves whispering secrets of their own. After standing there for a while, you couldn't handle the anticipation any longer. With a quick decision, you grabbed the book you had been devouring for the last few days. A History of Hogwarts. You flopped back onto your bed, opened it to a familiar page, and let the words wash over you again. As you read about the founding of the school, the legendary figures who walked its halls, and the enchantments that adorned its castle, time seemed to slip away. The whispers of the trees outside mingled with the stories in your mind, creating a symphony of excitement that only fueled your eagerness. You lost track of time, just as you began to envision the Great Hall, its enchanted ceiling reflecting the sky. A distant sound jolted you back to reality. It was your mom. She yelled from downstairs that Aunt Clara's arrival was drawing near. You quickly closed the book, and with a determined sigh, you started to prepare. You rummaged through your things, making sure you had a list of required items. You also took a small backpack Aunt Clara insisted you to bring, to carry whatever treasures you might find. Finally, with the clock ticking ever closer to 8 a.m. You settled at the kitchen table, glancing at the clock again. The anticipation made your stomach flutter. Would there be other first years like you, wide-eyed and eager to learn? As the minutes scrolled by, you couldn't help but daydream about the adventures that awaited. At last, you hear the sound of tires entering your gravel driveway. Quickly, you rush to the window and see a familiar car. Aunt Clara stepped out, her excitement palpable even from a distance. You dash to the door, flinging it wide open. "Are you ready?" you shouted, practically bouncing on your toes. Aunt Clara beamed at you, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Absolutely. Let's go make some magic." You stepped out in the fresh morning air, the world around you bursting with possibilities. Your mom followed after you. Father had to work, unfortunately. He can't just ask for time off, since he works under the Deputy Prime Minister. You took a seat in the back of the car. In the middle sits Eva. Next to her is Josh, who still doesn't look amused that he has to take you with him. But that doesn't really matter to you. Today, nothing can bring you down. You see Aunt Clara type Charing Cross Road into the navigation system. And then you were finally on your way to the Leaky Cauldron. The car hummed steadily along the winding roads, and you felt the rush of acceleration as you gazed out the window. The scenery shifted from the familiar streets of your neighborhood to broader roads, flanked by trees that whizzed by in a blur of green. With each passing moment, the anticipation in your chest grew heavier. Aunt Clara's excited chatter filled the car, her voice punctuated by the occasional laugh. "Can you believe we're finally going to Diagon Alley? You're going to love it. There's a shop for everything. Wand shops, broomstick stores, you name it." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and you couldn't help but grin back at her. Eva, who was seated next to you, was busy reading a comic book, only occasionally looking up to roll her eyes at Josh's unimpressed demeanor. He slouched in the middle, arms crossed, clearly less excited about the journey. But none of that mattered to you. You were lost in thoughts of what lay ahead. As the car turned onto Charing Cross Road, the buzz of the city enveloped you. The hustle and bustle of pedestrians and the distant sound of a street performer filled the air. You could feel the energy of London, a city alive with stories and secrets. It felt like a perfect backdrop for the adventure you were about to embark on. Aunt Clara parked the car. You all got out and continued the trip to the Leaky Cauldron on foot. You walked through Charing Cross Road, scanning the storefronts, when Aunt Clara pointed excitedly. "There it is!" You turned your gaze to a nondescript building, tucked between a bookshop and a cafe. The sign above the door read, "The Leaky Cauldron," in faded letters. It looked ordinary enough, but something about it sent a thrill down your spine. This was the gateway to everything you've been dreaming about. You started to walk to the door when you noticed your mom stopped moving. "Is this old broken down shop it?" she said loud. "You must be joking me." At first, you didn't really understand. The pub looked a bit on the older side, but was far from broken down. Quickly after, you thought about something you read in the history of Hogwarts. The castle of Hogwarts appears as abandoned ruins to any muggle close enough to see. You figure this must follow the same concept. Aunt Clara took your mom's hand, leading her towards the door. Eva and Josh trailed behind. Josh still was wearing that skeptical expression. Aunt Clara pushed the door open, and the bell above jingled softly, announcing your arrival. The dim light inside contrasted sharply with the bright London day outside, and the smell of something warm and comforting wafted towards you. It already felt like stepping into a different world altogether. You stepped inside with wide eyes, taking in the mismatched furniture, the warm wooden bar, and scattered about wizards and witches of all kinds, their conversations blending into a harmonious murmur. "Welcome to the magical world," Aunt Clara declared, and as she spoke those words, you felt the weight of your ordinary life begin to lift. The inside of the Leaky Cauldron was a marvel, so expansive and vibrant that you could hardly believe it all fit within the ordinary-looking building you'd seen from the street. You stepped further inside, your senses tingling with wonder as you absorbed the scene around you. The dim light created a cozy atmosphere, while the hum of chatter filled the air, blending with the sound of clinking glasses and laughter. But there was no time to ponder the size of this magical space, as your attention was immediately drawn to the astonishing sights unfolding before you. At a table near to the door, two wizards were engaged in a game of chess. Not just any chess, the pieces, each intricately carved and alive with personality, moved of their own accord. A knight galloped forward, its tiny steed reared, while a rook puffed up in defiance, ready to defend its territory. Your gaze darted to the walls, where posters hung like vibrant paintings. But these weren't mere decorations. They shimmered and shifted, capturing your attention as they brought their subjects to life. One poster featured a man at a bar, desperately trying to snag a large pint from the hands of a bartender, who was fervently trying to show you the label that read butter beer. The scene was so animated, you could almost hear the man's frustrated mumbling and the bartender's earnest insistence. As you stood there, your eyes wide with astonishment, a broom glided past you, sweeping the floor without a soul to guide it. It moved with a cheerful diligence, collecting dust as if it were on a mission. You couldn't help but chuckle. The mundane had taken a backseat to the marvelous. A little further in the room, you noticed a flower pot suspended from the ceiling. The flower within glowed softly, casting a warm, ethereal light that danced across the room. It seemed to sway gently, as if it were singing a lullaby to the patrons below. You took a moment to soak it all in, the wonders of this hidden world washing over you like a tidal wave. The whispers of magic filled the air, beckoning you closer to the adventures that lay ahead. Your heart raced with excitement, and you could hardly contain your eagerness. "Come on," Aunt Clara called, pulling you from your reverie. "We're heading to Diagon Alley." With a determined nod, you followed her lead, ready to step fully in the magical adventure that had only just begun. The Leaky Cauldron was just the beginning, and your dreams were waiting just beyond its walls. Aunt Clara led the way through the pub, excitement radiating off her. You followed closely, your heart pounding as you stepped through the heavy wooden door at the back. What lay beyond was unexpected. A small walled courtyard that felt oddly secluded from the bustling streets of London. In the center of the courtyard stood a lone trash can. But what truly captured your attention was a peculiar man nearby. He wore a silk vest and a flamboyant tie. His pink swim shorts were a stark contrast to the more traditional wizarding attire you had imagined. To complete the ensemble, he sported knee-high socks that seemed to defy all fashion norms. "Is this Diagon Alley?" your mom asked, confusion etched across her face as she glanced from the man to Aunt Clara, her eyebrows raised in disbelief. But before anyone could respond, the man noticed your group and smiled brightly, as if your presence was the most delightful surprise. With a flourish, he reached into his pocket and took out a wand that sparkled with enchantments. You saw him tap it against a few bricks in the wall surrounding the courtyard. Suddenly, the bricks began to shift and move, creating a rhythmic sound like the clacking of horseshoes on the ground. You watched in awe as a hole formed, growing wider and wider until it transformed into a large archway. The anticipation in your chest surged as you realized that this was the entrance to the magical world you had only read about. Beyond the archway lay a cobblestone road, its surface gleaming as if it had just been polished. The air was filled with a symphony of sounds, laughter, the clinking of coins, and the faint zooming of some weird objects in a shop nearby. As you stepped through the archway, you could see shops lining the street, their colorful signs swinging gently in the breeze, beckoning you to explore. Aunt Clara beamed with pride. "Welcome to Diagon Alley," she exclaimed. You took a deep breath, your senses igniting with wonder. This was it, the start of your adventure. The man in the swim shorts dipped his head to you with a wink, and you stepped through the archway, ready to embrace the magic that awaited. The first step you took on the cobblestone felt like a leap into the extraordinary, a place where your dreams were about to unfold. The possibilities were endless, and you couldn't wait to see what lay ahead.